I'll bet you have one of these too. It's called a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
You want to be cutting straight down, easiest and safest.
Oh! Now I've done it. I've cut the dickens out of my finger. Well, I'm glad in a way this happened. You know, accidents do occur from time to time.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's that retired guy who's lived through the 60s twice and is still having fun. Now, as you regular viewers know, I've got a little weakness in my front lower teeth because of their short roots.
And you know what they say about guys with short roots.
Well, anyway, we've been advised not to bite into apples, even though I've got a dental splint that's in there that'll shore them up. But why take the risk, right? So that's the problem. I really like apples. And they've been my fave since I was a kid. Now, when I was really young, I seem to remember Macintosh apples being my favorite. After a while, I moved on to a Red Delicious phase through high school and for some years afterwards. Nowadays, they just taste kind of mealy and grainy to me. Over the last several years, Honeycrisp has been my apple of choice. But as you know, there's a million kinds out there.
How do you like them apples?
And of course, there's the health benefits of apples. You know the old saying, an apple every 8 hours keeps 3 doctors away. So if I'm not biting into apples, I'm cutting them up. And there are easy ways and hard ways to do this, along with the right way and the wrong way. Let's take a look at that. Now, I know some people swear by those spoke wheel apple cutters and corers, but they're just big to use. And where do you put them in your kitchen, honestly? So look at the size and the shape of these things. I mean, these things have bigger wings than Red Bull gives you. And it's not really, with all different kinds of apples, one size fits all. And if you really want to go nuts with one of these things, nobody wants it on their counter, do they? Now, I'll bet you have a lot of things already that are tough to fit in the kitchen drawers. Like, for example, a can opener. It's got this big knob on the side. You've got things like pie slicers and so on. Do you put them sideways in here where they stick up and they're sharp on the sides? I don't even know what this thing is. I think we got it at one of those shady all-night kitchen shops down by the interstate. In any case, I already have a apple corer and slicer that fits very easily. I'll bet you have one of these too. It's called a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Well, Mick, this one works for me. Now, if you can, use a sharp paring knife, one like this, not just one of your regular everyday knives. The core of the apple can put up a bit of a fight when you're cutting it. So let's go see how we can cut an apple very quickly and very efficiently, and using one of these, just like the pioneers did. So it's lunchtime, and I want an apple, as I do most days. I usually have it with a sandwich, or more often in the winter, some soup, and leftovers from past dinners also make appearances. Now, I usually get the Honeycrisps that are about 2-3 inches thick. That should be enough. But they make them this big, like this monster. This is almost like a grapefruit. And this proves that old adage, never eat anything bigger than your head. And this sucker almost qualifies. So all you need is the knife, your apple, and a cutting board. Don't use a plate. Very bad for the knife, especially if you're using a good one, which you should be. Now, starting this is easy. Just cut the apple into 2 halves. Now, if you have one that's a little misshapen, like many or most of them are, just cut it right in the middle where you'll get 2 equal halves. Now, here's the trick. Hold it in such a way where you're kind of pressing it apart as you cut. That core is going to give you a little pushback, and if you're holding the apple like this, you're just making it harder to cut through. So cut it right down the middle, right through the stem, press it apart, and you get your 2 halves. Okay, you grab one of the halves, and this is where the decision comes in. how many wedges to cut. I usually cut them in 5 simply because it's a nice size to eat and it's easy to cut. If you have more than that, it's going to be kind of skinny, a wedge, no matter what size apple you have. And if you're trying to do 4, it's harder to cut and you're going to get bigger wedges, and with a bigger apple that may be something that's just not pleasant to eat with what you're having for lunch. So try 5 wedges, but use the apple and your own judgment on what's best for you. So if we're doing those 5 wedges, one thing you don't want to do is angle the knife. That's just difficult to cut. Every time you cut, you want to be cutting straight down, easiest and safest.
Oh! Oh! Now I've done it. I've cut the dickens out of my finger. Well, I'm glad in a way this happened. You know, accidents do occur from time to time in the kitchen. We've never really discussed what to do. First, you must stop the bleeding.
Now, 180 degrees with 5 wedges, that's about 36 degrees. Nobody's that precise. Who can do that? Just do an approximation. Get your knife ready and cut around the core, not through it. Very important. You don't want to eat that. So what you do is cut straight down, and you've got your first wedge. Put it again about the same amount. Cut straight down. You got another good wedge. Third time, you cut straight down. Now the 4th time you cut, you're going to be almost parallel to your original cut. And you cut straight through that way. And your final cut is going to be straight down next to the core. It's not exactly a wedge. It's more like a flat piece. You're not going to use it as a doorstop anyway. So whatever the shape, it's about the same size as the other things. And all you got left is this 1/2 a core. You take it and you toss it. Now take the other half and cut it the same way. And again, goes pretty fast. And you notice this apple is pretty much shaped a little irregularly, but you're going to find that on most apples. And you've got yourself some pretty good wedges here. Again, one more piece of core, toss it. So when you're done, you can use a plate, but I normally don't use a plate or have it handy. That was only for this video. I really just use the cutting board itself. It's easy to use as a server or as a plate, and then easy enough to throw in the dishwasher or just wash it up right afterwards. Now when it comes to cleanup, you've only got the knife. The cutting board, as I said, you're going to throw in the dishwasher later. It's best clean that knife right away. Just run some water. Have a little bit of a scrubber with some soap on it, which I do. Get that a rinse right away. And dry it right away. Remember, this is a good knife. The apple has juice and acids in it that are not good for the blade of that knife. I like to take care of it right away. Once you're done, it's put away and you're ready for tomorrow. So as you can see, unless you're cutting up loads of apples, there's no need for one of those snazzy apple cutters. You are now a snazzy apple cutter yourself. And as for me, it's time to eat lunch. So here's a little bonus. For those of you who are peach, nectarine, and pear fans, this method won't work as well simply because of the pit or the core inside the pear, and it just makes it a little bit different in concept, but it is doable. To tell you the truth, a white flesh nectarine is probably my favorite fruit in the whole world. You just don't see them as much in the stores anymore. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I just haven't looked it up. And I'm not a peach fan. I just don't like fuzz in my food. But in any case, let's go take a crack at cutting those fruits now. It's a little bit different, but it goes well. Okay, the secret to a nectarine is to find the right amount of ripeness. If it's too young, like these two right here, they're very hard. They're hard to cut, but worse yet, they're hard to eat, and they're not very juicy and they're just not really tasty. On the other hand, if you get one that's too ripe, it's mushy. Again, it tastes overripe, and it's hard to cut too because it's just an absolute mess. But I've got one that I think is right where it should be. I'm hopeful. Let's give it a try. Now, the key to starting out with a nectarine is to give an initial cut, kind of like what they call a felling wedge or a cutting wedge for a tree. Don't do it right on the seam because you may cut into the stone and then that can come apart or weaken it, and that makes it harder to cut as you go. So go somewhere along the line, give it a cut, and come all the way up to the top and all the way down to the bottom, and then cut into that first cut you made to make a wedge. You pull it out with the knife, and there you go. Now, this is a yellow flesh nectarine, by the way. Couldn't find my white flesh. The next cut you make is a normal wedge, but you cut back a little bit. Try to cut down as much as you can, but watch your fingers. And you cut again all the way up to the top till you're cutting against the pit. And then if you're lucky, you give it a little snap and it'll come right out. This one didn't. So what you've got to do is just cut towards your cut and it'll pop right out. And that's the key to cutting a nectarine. I can go around one more time, let's say. Again, make that cut. Let's see if we get one to pop out. That was quite a pop, but it works. I won't tell anybody if you won't. And so on and so forth. You go all the way around that same way. As you get towards the end, remember, watch your fingers, and it's going to be a little bit juicy. It's not as easy as an apple from a mess standpoint, but it works out just the same. Two things you do when you're done. You've got the pit, you toss it, you got your knife, you wash it, and you can use this or your plate as your serving dish when you have your lunch. There's your nectarine bonus. So that's it for the video. Just a hint or two regarding your fruit. Now, if you got a chuckle out of it, or maybe even found it useful, give me a like. I'd sure appreciate it. And feel free to share it with anybody who likes fruit. There's a lot of those people out there. And don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all the nutty content that'll be coming out in the future. This is that retired guy who's lived through the 60s twice, and hopefully these apples will help me live through the 90s twice and still have fun. So long, everybody.